Hello and welcome everyone, this is Silver here, and today we're gonna do another review. This time it's gonna be a Druid deck, which I named Annoyance because it is basically what it is. It's very control based, I can tell you that. It's all about, well, let's say there are a few win conditions that are very specific to this deck. There are also some cards that I personally picked just because I like them, but you may choose something else. And let me just say that. And well, let's get just to it. So basically we're starting off with 2 Innervates. That basically helps us to get off most of our big creatures out, which we do have. I mean, if you see our mana curve, we have, well, actually not that much. We have 3 that are 7+, 3 that are 6, and 3 that are 5. Then we have a pretty heavy on the 4 mana as well. But Innervate basically helps you get off big things early. It also helps you like get a turn 2 Chilwyn Yeti out, or even turn 1 if you have the coin. Then we have the 2 Rats, which are obviously very powerful removal at the early game. It also gets you a card if you wish. We have 2 Ancient Watchers. These are very common nowadays because they're used very heavily with Sun Fury Protector and Defender of Argus, which makes it into a taunt. It even, of course, you can silence it if you wish, and it basically becomes a pretty cheap Yeti very early on, which is great. Then we have Blood Mage Talos. He's basically here to buff our spells and to give us that little extra draw. It basically buffs both our Rat and Swipe, which is very important to have. We actually are not carrying Starfire in this deck, just so you know. Then we have a Nutpegel, simply there just for the draws. I mean, if you're lucky enough, Nutpegel can win you games single-handedly, just by the sheer amount of cards he can give you. Then of course this 2 Sun Fury Protectors, which we've said again, goes really well with Ancient Watcher. It also helps, it's not that bad to put it on a Harvest Golem or a Yeti. Or let's say a Cairn. Cairn would be good. I would say that Sylvanas would be good with a taunt, but I'll get to that later. Then we have a Savage Roar. And the reason why we only have 1 Savage Roar is that because it's actually not the most amazing card. It's situational, but basically think if you're come down to the situation where you're top decking and you end up drawing a Savage Roar, it's gonna be very pointless, especially if you don't have no minions out. I mean, it's there for one reason and one reason only, and we'll come to that. Then we have 2 Harvest Golems, which of course they're just great creatures. They stay on the field very long, and they're basically a nuisance. Then we have Thinkmaster Overspark. We use him basically for control. It's nothing special, that's basically why he's used, really. He's used to transform something like a Ragnaros. Make it into, even if you make it into a 5/5, it's obviously a lot easier to deal with at that point. Or if you're lucky, it's going to turn into a 1/1 squirrel. Then we have 2 Swipes. Very strong removal, very useful, especially behind Blood Mage Talos. It becomes deal 5 damage and 2 damage to all other creatures, which wipes most fields, yes, usually. Then we have the standard 2 Chilwyn Yeti. They're basically just, your usual really good minions. We have 1 Defender of Argus, simply because 2 Defender of Argus seemed a bit overkill, although that is basically my choice. I am contemplating adding a 2nd instead of a Faceless Manipulator, but we'll see. You can judge yourself. It's basically what you think. I would, if I would put another Defender of Argus, I would do it instead of the Faceless Manipulator, but I'll come to the Faceless later. Then we have 2 Keeper of the Grove, which is basically one of the best minions that the Druid has in its disposal. It has a silence, or you can deal 2 damage. Of course, you can silence, for example, your Ancient Watcher, which will enable it to attack, which is very threatening. Or you could silence something else, like your opponent's creature that's just going crazy. Or you could just finish something off that has only 2 health, which is also great. Then we have Druid of Claw. He's basically the best 5-drop in the game, simply put. Just because he's so versatile. He's basically 1 cost less Fen Creeper if you make him into a taunt. But he has 1 more attack than a Fen Creeper if you do that. Or he's basically 1 cost less commander, but with no bubble, but 2 more health, if you call it like that. Then we have a Faceless Manipulator, and the reason I'm using Faceless Manipulator is because I like the synergy it has with Cairn, and Sylvanas, and Ragnaros. Which basically, you know, if you copy literally any one of those, I would make him it would just justify him. And you don't need more than you don't honestly need more than 1, because 2 manipulators is a bit overkill. And of course you can also use them on your own or opponent's minions, which, you know, can help. Then we have Force of Nature. This is the reason why Savage Roar is in the deck. And that is because it is very strong with it. It basically gives you 3 Trents for 4 damage each, which can end games very quickly. It is basically 12 damage for the cost of, what is that, 9. 12 damage for the cost of 9 is basically slightly less, you know, expensive Pyroblast, which deals more damage. And that's discounting the fact that Savage Roar also buffs your hero. So your hero is also going to attack for 2, which means it's going to be a total of 14 damage. That's almost half a health of a full health hero, which of course is crazy. So that's the reason it's there. It's only 1 in there because we can't really justify 2 of them. I mean, if I wanted Force of Nature for removal as well, I would have probably preferred Starfire. Then we have Cairn, and Cairn is there because it's Cairn. It's basically a bigger Harvest Golem, but just slightly way more annoying. Then we have Sylvanas. Sylvanas is there basically for the extra control. I mean, it has gotten nerfed by which it now costs 1 more, but it is still a very, very strong minion, and your opponent will most likely have to try to get around there in one way or the other. Then we have Ancient of Lore. We have 2 of them, and we're basically using the Ancient of Lore for the draw power. I mean, I can see the health coming useful in some stages, especially maybe if you want to heal up something that's hurt, like Cairn or Ragnaros, but the 2 cards is usually very good, and it's a 5/5, which is also pretty good. Then we have Ragnaros, the basic king of control. Is that he's just gonna deal 8 damage to whatever. Of course, you also have the option to silence him, at which point you can basically attack whatever you want with it, which is great. So that's the deck. Now, I'll take a second and I'll show you some games of it. And here we go. Let's see if I can show you just how annoying this Annoyance is. Now basically, this deck has been used a lot lately, and it's won a couple of tournaments, at least in the EU side. I think I faced, in the last tournament I've went to, I think I faced maybe 4 of these decks. I'm not sure, I mean the videos are on the channel, so that's an interesting hand. We actually start with our Savage Roar Force of Nature combo, but it's a bit too early, and it is a hunter, so we have to think about better control at the start. We do get an Innervate and a Druid of Claw instead. I would have preferred a Yeti or something, but that works. We can, if we want, Innervate a Harvest Golem, but I'd rather Innervate a Druid of Claw. We also have the coin. We could coin Ancient Watcher, but there's no point because we don't have Protector or anything. Tracking. Okay, so our opponent is going straight for the control side, which basically means he has to choose what he's gonna do. We do get Defender of Argus, however, and this is actually great because I can turn to Argus, my Watcher, and it's gonna be very difficult to get through. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna Watcher, Coin Watcher, and then Innervate Defender next turn. If we see the need, we might... No, there's no really a reason not to do it, really. I was thinking we might Harvest Golem, but we only actually have 2 mana. I mean, usually you would want Defender of Argus to buff 2 creatures, but to get something this strong out this early, it's hard to deny. It's very hard to deny. So we're going straight for it. And that gives us a 5/6 taunt. A turn 2, basically. Which is, you know, I mean, he can't attack, unfortunately, but if this guy wants to attack, he's gonna have to deal with it. Now, the worst thing that he could do to us is maybe he has a Hunter's Aim, which will reduce that to 1 health, and then play something like Explosive Trap. That probably would be the worst thing they could do. Their worst thing would be if he deadly shots and somehow is lucky enough to hit it. But he doesn't seem to have the answers. He just has that, and we'll just summon another Harvest Golem, or the first Harvest Golem. So yeah, we have pretty strong board. He will have to think about how he wants to deal with that Ancient Watcher. At the same time, we're just gonna capitalize on it and just get a lot of minions out. Now let's see, he has 4 mana. For him to use Eaglehorn Bow, it does mean that he is carrying secrets, and we need to be very aware of that. And Unleash the Hounds. He probably has something to kill. Yeah, he's gonna use all the Unleash the Hounds to kill my 5/6, which is, you know, it's reasonable. But I'm happy with that because that means I just made the guy use his Unleash the Hounds early. He is thinking about trying to kill me either with that instead, but I don't see a huge point to it. Oh, he's got an Arcane Shot. Okay, so yeah, well, apparently he wants to rush me down. That is clear. So what I want to do here is basically, and I got that as well. I want to capitalize on that, and let's see. Best thing to do here is probably just taunt up again. And first off, we'll clear the board. And do that. Now we are weak to Explosive Trap, but that's only if we attack him. So we will try to use these guys to clear boards instead. And Murlocs, yeah. So now we know that this guy is actually using like the extreme deck that's been out at the moment, which is like all out hunter attackage. And the great answer for that is just taunts. Summon taunts and you can't do shit. That's the main problem with that deck. And we do have very reliable taunts. We have a Druid Claw. Now that is very likely Explosive Trap. A Misdirection. Yeah, I'll take that. So we're gonna rush him down a bit. We're just gonna do that and hit him for now. We want to keep that just in case. So he's down to 16. Now what would be great right now is if we drew Savage Roar. With Savage Roar we can Force of Nature Savage Roar with Innervate. And basically means he's dead. So basically if we actually kept Savage Roar from the start at least, it would have been great. As is, if he does not kill anything we have, which doesn't seem like it, let's do a bit of counting here, shall we? We have 2, 4, 8. That'll bring him down to 8. And then we have another 6. So unfortunately we cannot kill him. But very close we are. We're very close. Thinking if we can innervate with something, but we can't. Not with that anyway. If we do that, we can innervate this. No, we actually did kill him. What am I saying? Just look at this. Hit, innervate, swipe. And that's how you show a hunter that's trying to be smart-assed about being rushy, how to rush. Yeah. Very strong deck. It can basically deal with any sort of deck. That's basically its versatility. That's why it's good. It has basically, you know, very strong presence very early on, and that's its deal. It's, you know, your opponent has to have answers to it very quickly. Another hunter. Another hunter. And we're going first. I am uncertain on this hand, honestly. I think I'll keep it though. Keeper of the Grove might be fairly useful against the hunter. Offender of Argus. Now let's see if he's also rush. Nothing yet, so no Leopard Nomage. Well, Pagel. Pagel's gonna give us a card, that's great. Ancient of Lore. And not bad, not bad. Let's see what he does. A coin. A coin deadly shot on a Pagel. Well, I mean, he is annoying, but that was a bit extreme. Let's Harvest Golem. So we can do a turn 5 Innervate Ancient of Lore, which will be great. At the moment we have to deal with what we have, which is a Leok. Now let's see, best way to deal with that. We can either rat and hit it with our own thing, or we can Keeper of the Grove, but we rather keep the Keeper of the Grove. So that has ratted. So, and hit him for 2. Yeah, so next turn is a definite Innervate Ancient of Lore, unless he does something that makes me want to use Keeper of the Grove. We'll find out. No, he's just gonna hit me, I think. Yeah. That's fine, and we get another Innervate. So, Innervate, Ancient of Lore. Into 2 cards, which is Thinkmaster Overspark and Ancient Watcher. Okay, and we hit him for 2 again. So next turn, we'll probably Ancient Watcher Defender. And we'll put the Ancient Watcher here. That makes this pretty strong field. He's going for a deadly shot. Unfortunately, hits the Harvest Golem, which is pretty unfortunate for him. That's probably really not what he wanted. That's going to be very useful later on. But let's... what's with this? Because he's actually probably really still on that side. That's very annoying. It's quite a recent bug. Huh. So we do that, and this should buff the ones we want. Yep, it does. The important one is that they buffed the Ancient Watcher, in my opinion. So yeah, we have pretty huge taunts on the field. He's gonna unleash the Hounds. That's interesting. What is he gonna kill with it? He can't really kill anything unless he has a Timberwolf. Yeah. Okay, so he can kill probably the 6/6. Okay, he's gonna probably kill both of them. That's good. It's a pretty good move. Deals with the field pretty well. Not bad, not bad. Now let's see here. We'll probably just kill that with this. There's no reason not to use anything else. Hit him and Talnos. And I think we'll end it there. So he's down to 14. We basically, if we just draw Savage Roar again, he's quite dead. A Scavenging Hyena into a Houndmaster and unleash the Hounds. Okay, so he wants to clear my minions at the same time as he's gonna buff that. So no, that's fine. We can silence it if we want, and it's gonna render it useless. which is unfortunate for him. Yeah, we're definitely gonna just silence it. We can't. No, we cannot. Yes, we can. We have an Innervate. We can manipulate it, then silence it. Alternatively, we can just Think Master. So basically, yeah, options are plenty, isn't it? It's like an option fest. Either we copy it and be bastards about it. And to be honest, I like being a bastard. I don't know. I have to try to think. Yeah, let's copy it, why not? Innervate into Keeper of the Grove. Into a silence. Into a kill. There, so now we have our own little scavenging hyena. Multi-shot. So he's able to kill the hyena. So yeah, so far this guy has had all the answers he's needed. But honestly, all we really need is literally the roar. That's it. So let's see here. We can kill that, and we most certainly will. We're gonna do that, and do that. And we're kill that. So let's see. What more can he pull out of his arse? If he doesn't kill anything this turn, we have... Oh, King Crush. King Crush. Right for the face. It's a golden King Crush, no less. Look at him. Well, at least he's still a Devilsaur, so... So let's see here. I was hoping that it would be turned into a... You know what? Just because it will allow me to kill it easily. Should we risk just going for the face? We could actually just heal ourselves, which I think, you know, is a safer option. Yep. I just healed. What do you want? I did that mostly because we have Force of Nature, so we don't actually need more cards. We just need to get at least 2 damage through, which we're very able to do. I mean, we don't even need to do anything. Yep. That's that. So let's try to win one more, just for the daily as well. But you get to see, it's very strong. It's very hard to deal with. Even for something like a hunter deck where it's all about being aggressive or being very, like, a lot of minion removal, you can't really completely remove all the minions from a druid because they just have such quality minions. And okay, this is Hunter Day apparently. It's all about the hunters. At least we're going second for once. An Ancient Watcher Defender is not bad. I'm actually gonna keep the Keeper actually. Yes, keep the Keeper. And go with that. Sylvanas. I would have preferred an Innervate, to be fair. But I'll take that. Certainly. So what I'm thinking here is I'm gonna turn 2 Ancient and then turn 3 Keeper with the coin, which will allow the Ancient to attack. Yep. He might waste a deadly shot on it, which, you know, I'm completely fine with. Oh, he's just gonna hit me. And summon... No, tracking. So, this tells me that this guy most likely is very aggressive. Because so far he's been very aggressive. So there, we now have a silenced Ancient Watcher which can attack. Which is great. It's basically literally a Yeti. Quite literally. The advantage to that is that we summon a Keeper of the Grove at the same time. So let's see what his answer is. A multi-shot won't kill them. a deadly explosive shot needs one more cost, and it would kill the 4/5, but will not kill the 2/4. You're gonna companion and gets Misha. I am tempted to just swipe that, honestly. Just for being an aggressive bastard. You know, it feels like a waste to swipe one creature, but if it, you know, keeps your tempo, it's pretty good. And we have other answers for later. We have gotten Savage Roar now, so we just need the Force of Nature. He's gonna waste a deadly shot. It hits the wrong target, unfortunately for him. And a Crocolisk. Okay. I think here we'll just be aggressive as hell. Or, no, actually we're gonna kill it. I don't want to give him the chance. He might have a kill command and something weird. Which apparently has... No, he probably drew an explosive shot now. My guess. Which would kill the Yeti, and it'll keep the thing alive with 1 health. Unleash the Hounds. Interesting. And multi-shot. Yeah, so basically he's going for a full clear. It's fine. We'll probably Harvest Golem. And should we Talnos? Nah, let's just go for the face. We want him to bring him down to 14 health. That's our objective. Second to that is basically just to draw Force of Nature. Which I hope eventually happens. Because so far we've had Savage Roar, so far we've basically just had... That's an interesting choice. We basically only had Force of Nature. So let's see. I mean, that's a weird choice. He basically allowed us to kill the 2/2 very easily there. But that thing is a problem. But let's take the control out. So I have Sylvanas. I mean, if I take 2/5, it's better than nothing. I don't mind. She also is a very heavy hitter, as you can tell. An owl, okay. That does deal with it nicely. She probably has, or he, well, she. He probably has an explosive shot to deal with that now. Yep. Pretty good moves. You basically had exactly what I needed. Now just going for the face. A bit annoying. I really would love to draw something more interesting. Should I heal or should I? Nah, it's a weird choice to have. I mean, we can try Think Master, but it's very risky. So I think I'll go with the draw. Okay, Ancient Water Faceless is actually quite helpful, because we'll be able to Ancient Defender next turn. Unless he has another way to remove that, which he might. I mean, I haven't seen kill commands yet. He bloody has one. This guy is... he's gone for me. Oh, he's rushing me down. Huh. Probably a snake trap. Interesting. I don't trust them. I want to kill one of them. He is being very aggressive. We're gonna have to be equally as aggressive next turn. Now, if he doesn't kill my stuff, anything I have, it is very likely that I have just won. Oh, sounds like he has an explosive trap. Yep. Most def. Oh, we just have to pop it, don't we? Well, there we go. Now let's see. We're gonna have to armor up. We have to start armoring up. Definitely. And charge him. You know what? Yeah. Lots of thoughts. You're obviously gonna shoot me. And then if he has a beast and kill command. Well, he doesn't. Luckily for him, Gladiator's bow makes your hero immune while attacking. It's very annoying. So let's see, do we have lethal? We have 2, 4, and we can't attack with that. So we have 4, which can turn into 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, we just won. Is there anything else we can do before it? No, not really. And bam. Well, I wished I would have been able to show you against something other than Huntress, but there you go. The Annoyance, which is one of the strongest Druid decks, if not the strongest Druid deck out at the moment. Now, before we finish, we can say, from all of these cards, most of them, you know, they're not all needed. Let's say that. Some cards are, you know, if you have, for example, if you do not have Blood Mage Thanos, if you do not have Tankmaster Overspark, or if you do not have any of the other legendaries, I mean, it's fine. There are other options. Let's say, I can even show you. Let's say, instead of Blood Mage Thanos, you could put in an Acidic Swampus just for that anti-weapon. Or if you still want some kind of, if you still want to draw, at least you can always put in Loot Hoarder, which is, you know, it's the exact same thing. It just has one more attack, but it doesn't have the spell damage. I mean, I don't always use it for the spell damage. It is an extra. It does help with the swipe and the rats, but, you know, it's not as important. For Tankmaster, there are a few options. I personally would probably put in something, maybe either to keep threatening it out, like even a Jungle Panther. Maybe a Shattered Sun Cleric wouldn't be bad either. It would buff some of our less strong creatures to be stronger. And let's see, what else? For example, instead of a Faceless Manipulator, as we said, you should put in the Defender of Argus. 2 of them would be great. And if you did not have Cairn, what would be the other option? There are quite a few. You could put in a Spellbreaker, just to have one silence, because I mean, other than the Keeper of the Groves, this deck doesn't have too much silence, even though, in my opinion, 2 silence is enough. Because the thing, in most cases, I actually end up always doing the 2 damage, since, I mean, silence isn't that needed. I could actually go with Azure Drakes, like instead of Cairn and Sylvanas, I might put in 2 Azure Drakes, just for the spell damage and draw a card, which, you know, it fastens your ability to get Savage Roar and Force of Nature. Now, you can, if you want, put in another Force of Nature, I mean, if you really want to. But I would not recommend having 2 Savage Roar. It's such a dead draw. I mean, I really had Savage Roar at my hand, and I didn't think I would ever use it. Because if you don't use it for both of them, it's not as strong. Now, other options, for example, instead of Ragnaros and such, I mean, you could get a bit more rush and in the form of Argent Commander. You could get more bulk in the form of Boulder's Ogre, which in turn works pretty well with stuff that makes taunt, so like Sun Fury and Defender. I mean, with Defender Vargas that would be a 7-8 taunt, which is pretty huge. There's also the ability of Venture Co, if you rather not take as many big creatures, but I still would recommend trying to invest in getting 2 Ancient of Lore. They're just very, very, very good minions. You could also go a bit more defensive in the form of Sunwalker, although in my opinion there's enough taunt usage in this deck that you don't need more. Other than that, that's mostly what I think you can trade with stuff. You could find a use for 1 early claw. It does help with the early game. This deck doesn't actually handle early game all that well. I mean, the only answers I have is literally Wrath and my hero power. Other than that, I mean, none of the 2-drops is directly able to destroy anything early game, unless you're lucky enough to make a taunt in Ancient Watcher very early on. Or like we had, innervate into a silence on Ancient Watcher, which was also great. But yeah, Claw is an option. It is a strong early removal. Especially at 3 mana, it becomes a Wrath, quite literally. Since you'll be able to use that and your hero power for 3 damage. Well, you also get 3 armor at the same time, which is great. You could think about longevity in the form of Healing Touch, but personally, I would not. It does, in a taunt deck, if you want to be like defensive and you don't want to be, you want to like stay like, what's the word? Like you want to stall for the end game. You want to get to this point where you have these big creatures. Then Healing Touch is very helpful, but it's not overly recommended. You could go for extra removal in the form of Starfall. Starfall does help with a lot of removal nowadays. It does hit a lot of things Swipe might not, and also gives you the option of dealing with a big creature, and you deal 5 damage. It is basically a 1 cost less Starfire, but with the drawback of not being able to draw a card, but with the upside of being able to also be an AoE. So Starfall has its uses. It's very strong. Other than that, I mean, you could think about a Starfire still. It is very solid removal and it is card draw, but it's a very costly spell. Whereas there's a lot of better options, perhaps. I mean, even Force of Nature, if you don't mind not getting the extra draw, Force of Nature is basically, you can count it as removal, and it deals 6 damage because of all the trends. Which, it's pretty good. Another thing to note, if you do go for 2 Force of Nature, you might want to invest in getting yourself at least 1 Cult Master. They have very good synergy with each other. With that said, for you to be able to do Cult Master and Force of Nature the same turn, you literally would have to have 10 mana. So it is late game, unless you manage to summon the Cult Master early and it somehow is alive, you defended it some way, you have a taunt out. It does give you 3 cards, because in most cases you're going to use Force of Nature either to finish a game or to clear a board. And no matter what, I mean, these things will die at the end of the turn. So no matter what, you're guaranteed to get 3 cards if Cult Master is out, which is great. But yeah, a lot of things you can do. If you wish, you can always ask me. I'll try to help as much as I can. But that was it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.